What's up, Whitaker Whitman? Light mode. Hey, Nate. I did that poll on Twitter, and I'm pretty sure, well, do we want to go find it? Look at this. 82% of people said dark. 82. What's up, Jeffrey? What's up, Dark Arts? Welcome in. Yeah, so it was very overwhelming. Hey, Michael, Rolly D, Senor Fisher, Democryptus, Drobek. What's going on, guys? Welcome in. As usual, we'll give people a couple minutes to make it in. Is there no sound? Can you guys hear me? Oh, they deleted it. You guys can hear me, right? Hello, Kaz and chat. What's up, Amar, sorry. The good forces of light lost the evil forces of darkness on the pole. Yeah, it was a sad day for crypto. Honestly, yeah, I think it's been good for my eyes a little bit to have the dark mode. So I hope it's not too bad. I do enjoy the light charts. I think they look really solid. But sometimes it is bright, and a lot of people on the streams were saying that it was just hard to look at for too long. Okay, 82 people in here. That's pretty sweet. Scott, thank you, bro. Adam, please. Yeah, we can talk about Adam. 100 people. 100 people in the live stream. All right. I think that means it's time to get started. I just posted something on Adam, so I'll pull that up really quick. Adam's showing a ton of strength. It's up 12% right now while the rest of the market is dropping. It just tagged that high though, so I'd be looking for a pullback. This is daily demand. I guess you could say it's 2-day. Well, no, not quite. But this is the demand that led to the move up, and we have this low right here where I think some stop losses could be. So that's kind of where I would be looking to buy Adam. Just wanted to do that one really quick. SMFX, what's up, brother? Good to see you here. You've been putting out some good YouTube content recently. I've been checking that out, so nice work. Whiskey Wasp, what's up? Dark is better. Let me just finish reading the chat, and then we'll start with Bitcoin and then talk about some other stuff. We'll talk about Litecoin. Thanks, Wim. What's that? FTT dot. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about some of those. Okay, there's a bunch of people in here, so let's just jump right into it. We're starting with Bitcoin. So the main thing that's jumping out at me on Bitcoin is we're just in this kind of grinding up marginally higher highs, or keeps sweeping the highs. And this kind of reminds me, not exactly the same, but it kind of reminds me of the PA right here on Litecoin. Sorry, Ethereum. Do you guys see the similarities there? So we would barely make a higher high, take them out a couple separate times. So it is interesting to me how similar that looks, because it seems like this structure has always been breaking up. I'm not going to take a trade just based off of that alone, but I'm keeping that in mind as we go forward. Like, I know there was that Peter Schiff tweet today that he was kind of saying something about how Bitcoin might go to 100K, and I know a lot of people are panicking about that. And if anyone is going to be a good top signal, it would probably be Peter Schiff. But as always, let's see what the charts tell us and go from there. Okay, so right now, a couple key levels I'm watching: the weekly open, Monday's high, and then this high, which is the most recent high that we swept right here. If we can flip above that and actually close some candles above that, I don't think it's a fake out anymore, and I think we would be pushing up from there. So that is kind of one of my confirmation levels, so to speak. Above, I guess it's just under 50K, 49.9K, and I think we push up. So that's one of the scenarios I'm looking for to get on board, getting along with Bitcoin. The other one, I think this H4 demand might get tagged, this 4-hour demand. We front ran it here, and then once again right here. I know that dip took out these lows, but I would have felt more comfortable if it dipped a little bit further. It's been a little suspect to me that we didn't actually get in there. And right now you can see this has kind of been a deviation above Monday's high and the weekly open, and now we've broken back below. We're retesting it. So I'm not shorting this just because I don't really feel comfortable shorting this market right now. But if it does something like this, I'll absolutely be longing the dip. So right now, I guess to summarize that, I'm more interested in longing a dip than shorting the dip. Just because of the overall context of how bullish things have been, and also this structure, I just feel like it kind of breaks upwards a lot. It also kind of looks like I drew a channel earlier, and don't use these all the time, but it lined up pretty nicely. Just kind of interesting. And it's also fascinating to me how well the mid-range of this channel held as support and resistance throughout this whole time. But if we take out the low, that would be the low of that channel as well, and push up. So I guess that's just another, I'm not taking a specific trade based off of that channel or anything like that. I just think things like that in price are interesting. So main long scenarios would be a flip of 49.9 or a sweep into this H4 demand. Probably be safe with a stop loss right there. If we lose this level, if we lose this 45 level, there are two scenarios I'd be watching. One of them would be this level right here. If we get a sweep into there, like if we take out these lows into this level, that would be another long scenario. But overall, oops, I'm getting lost here when I click back and it switches time frames for me. I still think it's possible if we lose this that we go to the origin of this move, because this happened so quick. There was like barely any volume traded between 40 and 42K. And so retesting the origin of that move, or even just this high, I think is possible, but I'm not sold on that idea yet. I like to have plans in place for different places around price, like further down there. But for right now, we're going to look at our two levels of significance, I guess you could say, of areas around price. And right now, that's above 49.9 or a dip into H4 demand. And I will type, I'm going to start doing that, I think that's a good idea. I'm going to type these out. Plan. Whoops. Plan A. Reclaim of 49.9K with H1 closes above. Actually, I'm going to call this long scenario 1. Okay. And long scenario 2, sweep into H4 demand, reclaim Monday's low. All right, so now if you guys want to take a screenshot of this, or maybe if I remember, I will tweet this out after. I think this could be a good way to stay organized with the streams. If after we talk about a coin, or at least for some of the major coins that we spend more time on, I can type up basically a little scenario of what I'm looking for, and then maybe if we get down a strict schedule with the streams, we can review plan, like start the stream with reviewing our plans from last time, see what played out, see what didn't, and go from there. So as long as you guys are all clear with this, if this looks good to you, if there are any questions about Bitcoin specifically, then fire those away in the chat right now. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. The fantasy footballers are in the chat. Guys, if you are interested in football or play fantasy football, the FF Ballers are the #1 resource. I've had some good chats with Andy, and excited to get to know Jason and Mike. But yeah, there's some great dudes. So let me know if there are any specific questions about this Bitcoin chart, and then we'll move on to Ethereum. Make the text bigger? Yeah, I can do that. I don't know why I made it so much smaller. Is that better? What is a sweep into H4 or 4H? So basically, I think stops are resting right here. And then if we wick down into that level, it would run those stop losses into a demand level. Or into a demand zone, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I mean when I say a sweep into that level. Please, could you tell us which indicators you use? I don't use any indicators. I trade purely based off of price action. Okay, so it looks like, I mean, there's a few questions, but I want to get through some of the other analysis first, and then we can start taking more general questions. But I think we got a good analysis, good plans on Bitcoin. We'll move on to Ethereum, kind of do the same thing. And then after we go through like a few of these main pairs that I'm watching, then we can start talking about like just any random questions you guys have. So this chart's getting a little bit messy, but not too bad. This was the low that we swept on the dump yesterday. Our Monday's range is these two green levels and the gray level in the middle. So we're bouncing from the mid-range right now, but like theoretically you could long this sweep right here, but I think that's too risky. Like it makes sense though. It's a sweep right into the origin of this move, which was the last bit of selling before we pumped up. So it makes sense, like it's a valid setup, but personally, I just want to be a little more conservative right now. And because of that conservatism, I want to wait for it to flip some levels. So, I mean, my plans for other coins are going to be similar. There's going to be areas where we're looking to buy the dip if it gets there, and then there are going to be areas where I would want to long above if it gets above a certain level. So for Ethereum right now, I like this level right down here. I know this is further down than the Bitcoin one, but if Ethereum started selling off more than Bitcoin, if ETH BTC showed some more weakness, we might be able to catch some bids down here. So that would kind of be the long plan, or it could just be a run of Monday's low. It doesn't need to necessarily get all the way to that gray area, but that's probably the only spot I'd be comfortable leaving limit orders. But if this ranges a little and comes down here and takes out the lows like this, you could buy it once it gets back inside Monday's range. Otherwise, I really just think this needs to get above Monday's high and this 1850 level. You can see we deviated above it a little bit, then rejected into it like 4 times and front ran it a little, but it's still this general 1830 to 1850 region that is capping price. So any move above that, hourly closes above, actually hold above it, I would start looking for some leveraged longs. And it's hard to plan exactly what that would look like at this point, because who knows what the price action before getting above there is. But if it's something like this, I would probably put my stop loss at whatever the low is before we had the impulsive move to break above that level. So that is kind of the main plan for Ethereum. And I think for right now, I'm not going to leave any limit orders on Ethereum. I think the one on Bitcoin is a lot cleaner. So for Ethereum, the long scenario, I guess we can write the sweep of Monday's low is the downside scenario, and to the upside, 1850 resistance with H1 closes above. So that's kind of what I'm looking for with Ethereum. Wow, 216 people in here. This might be the my most viewed stream yet. So thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. This makes sense for Ethereum. We can also look at ETH-BTC, but you might want to cover your eyes because last time I checked, it didn't look phenomenal. All right, if that all makes sense, we will let me just make sure nothing crazy is happening. All right, ETH-BTC. This guy is being a pain. After we had this range low sweep yesterday, it started to push up, but it just could not hold above the weekly SR and the mid-range. What up, XO and SZ? Two of my best friends just jumping into the chat at the same time. So ETH-BTC just doesn't look great to me. And unless we can get back above that weekly SR, I am not as confident in Ethereum. This has always been my line in the sand, but we've been chopping around it quite a bit instead of actually holding above it. Extra confirmation comes above here, but I really at least need to see us get above this weekly SR for a bit more belief. ETH-BTC coming for the weekly 21 MA. I believe you. Should we see where that is? How do I put one of these on? 21. And then weekly. Whoa. Let's see. It's at point. Oh, here. Let me just mark it because I don't know how to. Can it magnet to the? Oh. Does it? No. Whatever. Right around there. Maybe a little lower. All right. Trader XO has spoken, and he said it's going to go for another leg down to this EMA. It wouldn't surprise me too much. Let's say that it does happen. Where did that go? 0.0338. Let's see what our daily support looks like at that level. 338. Yeah, that's not bad. I think, like, ideally I wanted to see this weekly SR hold. It hasn't, and because of that, I think the next area of interest would be this little consolidation cluster, and that lines up pretty well with XO's EMA. So maybe we get a wick down into that and then hold above the EMA and push from there. So that's kind of what we're looking for, but honestly, ETH-BTC doesn't look awesome to me until it it is a nice area there. So we'll keep an eye on that, but for right now, I just don't love the look of it. Let's talk about Litecoin a little. I'm still in this long. I'm long and scared. We closed the Sushi and Link longs, but still in Litecoin, but I'll hide that for now. This is looking a lot better than Ethereum. It kind of looks like we've formed another range right here with this high to that low, and swept this high, came down, swept the low. So maybe this pushes from here. I'm not buying here as I think it's still the middle of nowhere. Long scenarios for Litecoin would be pretty similar to the Bitcoin and Ethereum ones we've talked about, but I do think Litecoin is looks a bit better than Ethereum. So pretty much exactly the same. If we take out Monday's low, it'd be right into this 8-hour demand, which lines up beautifully. And then for Litecoin, I like the 225 to 228. It's either we flip above that or we wick into this demand. Too many people, myself included back in the day, would just lose money trading this chop, trying to find just a bunch of longs and getting stopped out of them. Now I've learned I need to develop my plans, look at key levels, and execute at those levels. You just need to be patient. Like, if this does range, I might not take a trade on Litecoin for the majority of this week, but we have our plans in place. We know where we would buy the dip, and we know where we would buy into strength. Because I wasn't at my computer during this sweep, like this would have been a nice time to take a quick short. Same with Ethereum, same with Bitcoin. When they all swept that high and closed back below, you could have taken a scalp short, but I'm not too interested in swing shorting right now just because of this is still very bullish structure. It's like we ran up from 150 to 225 in like 6 days. I don't see a problem with retesting high 100s, and oops, that makes it ugly. And coming back into this level, like this was very logical support to dip into. So overall, Litecoin is looking better to me than Ethereum, and those are the key levels we're watching. So just to recap those three majors, dip to 187-ish or reclaim of 225 for Litecoin. On Ethereum, we're looking for at least a sweep at like 1660 or a reclaim of 1850. And with Bitcoin, it would be flipping 49.9 or a dip into mid 45K. I think Bitcoin and Litecoin look the cleanest, so those will be the ones I'm watching a bit more closely. We'll still talk about Link and Dot and Sushi, but I just wanted to talk about these three majors first. And yeah, those are my plans. Don't lose money being an ape getting chopped up in this area, because this is where, excluding this was a good buying opportunity, and you could have shorted that sweep. But I guess what I'm saying is don't be getting chopped up around the mid-range of these moves and try to trade the extremes. All right, let's move down the list. Link. All right, we caught a really nice long down here on Link. It does not usually play out this well. I think I deleted it, but I posted it on Twitter. I had bid set here at 28.8, and the take profit was this high right there. Worked out really well. I still think Link looks bullish, but as I've said before, I've said this probably 50 times in my last 10 videos, but something that has helped me take a big step up in my trading is take profit at resistance and don't just hope for that resistance to break. When I first started trading, and even probably like 6 months or a year after, you see this V reversal and that Link got bought up 27% in like 14 hours. You start to think like, oh, this is just going to keep going and going and going. But if you don't take your profit at your resistance where your trade plan originally had it, and it starts to pull back like this, maybe you panic and you close your long here and you just miss out on the 12% upside because you thought it was just going to keep going. Where instead, what you would much rather do, you get your longs filled, you take profit at resistance. You see, this was the resistance level we were watching. And then either you add back on when it dips or once it gets back above the resistance. There's literally no harm in taking your profit at 34.8, and then later on, maybe it happens over here, you break above 34.8 and you get back in. Then you saved 3 days of paying funding. You saved the stress of being in this trade for super long, and you can always add back in at that same level with a tighter invalidation once it gets back above that resistance. So when I learned that, or not when I learned that, because I always kind of knew it, but I never actually put it into practice until later. When I started truly implementing that more, I was able to take a big step up. So I guess that was all. I went on a little mini rant there, and we didn't really talk at all about what I'm looking for with Link. Link is a little tricky because this dump went 20%. It dumped a lot more than others. I think there were just more cascading liquidations all the way down here. My stop loss was below here at like 26.8, and it just looked like this was an infinite dump. And so I think this dipped a lot more than, well, I know it did, than other coins. And so even if some other coins come down to sweep their lows, I do not think Link gets there. But because of that, Link won't really give me the same, it won't really meet the same setup criteria that I'm looking for with the others. So with that being said, for right now, I am looking for us to get back above the weekly open is one level that I'm watching. And then Monday's high, because that's pretty much the same as this SR level. They're right next to each other. Funny how that works, isn't it? All these key levels show up right next to SR levels. So as Trader SZ likes to say, there's more than one way to skin a cat. I'm going to delete this one. And essentially, I'd be looking for longs if we get above the weekly open, and then more confirmation is above Monday's high. I don't have a downside plan for this yet, just because, like I said earlier, this wick was very overextended. So if other coins only need to come down to here to sweep below, Link would have to go all the way here, and unless Bitcoin pulls back to like 45, then this is just probably not going to get down there. Sorry, I got distracted. Okay, so for Link, I guess I can leave those up there. How do I do it? There we go. Those are the two upside plans on Link. Let me just briefly look at these other guys, see if anything has happened of significance while we've been talking, doing other stuff. Bitcoin showing some good strength here. So if it can get above this level right here, which is sandwiched right in between our other two key levels, then I think that's the first step in terms of confirmation. I'm not going to take a long here, but that would increase the probability that we're going back up to around 50. So let's talk about DOT. DOT gave a really nice setup last night, or I guess it depends what time zone you're in. It was like 14 hours ago. This right here. So DOT barely front ran this hourly demand, which was right where the weekly open is. So when two things like that line up, I would say it adds probability to my setup. And so we formed that low there, bounced. Once we came down and swept it, that was the long opportunity, targeting Monday's high, because those were pretty much equal highs right here and right. That wasn't there yet, actually. Monday's high was this one. I thought I saw some. Anyway, that one got swept. So this sweep was a good opportunity to target Monday's high. I didn't see this until DOT was at like 28.6, so I didn't get a chance to take it, but this is absolutely the type of setup I would be looking to take. DOT looks pretty good here, more bullish than other coins. It's consolidating above Monday's high, but I don't really see a long plan for it right now. Maybe if it came down and took out the low of this consolidation and then got back above there, but DOT just doesn't look quite as clean to me, and so I'm kind of sitting out of that for now. I more so wanted to point out this long opportunity there, in case, well, I guess just so you guys can see more examples of trades that I take. So that's DOT. Lastly, we can talk about Sushi. So same exact thing as Link, you guys. I still have I'll delete it after this, but from the low to the high, it pumped over 40%, 44%. And I was feeling like, I don't know why that's there. I wouldn't say euphoric because it wasn't euphoria, but I was like in your head after you see a reversal like this, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so bullish. Can this ever come back down? The answer is yes. And I took profit on that wick right there. I started to not completely regret it, but when it started pushing up more, I was like, oh no, this is really going to keep going. But like I said before, you take profit at resistance, you add back on when you flip resistance. And you can see when it tried to retest that high, it just nuked all the way through. And then here, it couldn't retest it and close above. And so we never really got to hold above that. And now it's just been bleeding off. So if I didn't take profit there, I would just be absolutely kicking myself because this can go anywhere. Like as long as it doesn't break this low, the bullish argument is still intact. We had a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high. It could pull back all the way to here and then push up. And it's like you don't want to hold this trade that entire time, going from it hitting your target to watching almost all of your unrealized profit and loss disappear, and then it pushes the other way. So, yeah, that's just the importance of taking profit at resistance, adding back on a dip or on a flip of it. So those were the main coins I wanted to talk about. Now it's time for me to catch up on the chat. So that's going to be tough because I am way behind. Okay. Last thing I saw was if I can make the font size bigger. Did that, so we're good. Chris, loving your work, brother. Thank you, man. What's a sweep into H4? We talked about that. Yeah, run the stops, basically. Really like the idea of writing down scenario action plans. Good. I hope that is helpful for you guys. Do I think the MS bond offering will have an effect? I'm not too sure. Haven't looked into it too much. I'm just trying to focus on the chart right now. Do I think institutional demand is changing price action from 2017? I think the fact that derivative trading is so easily accessible could be changing how the price action is a little bit, but I wouldn't say, and market cycles play out really quick, but I wouldn't say it's too much different. I mean, obviously things are really bullish, and whether that's because of institutional demand or not, it doesn't really feel like we've seen like a bunch of anomalies in the chart other than the Elon pump. How do I feel about BTC funding right now? Well, let me check. It's a little high, but I mean 0.11 is pretty high for Bitcoin. That's pretty standard for Ethereum, but it is a little high, but I like to use funding as confluence. Like if funding was super high and we just had that sweep, like maybe that adds some confluence to your short idea. Or if we dip down to here and funding goes super negative, that would add some confluence to the long idea. But right now, I don't make too much of it. Time to panic sell everything here? No, I'm still holding all my spot. Do you think over leveraging made us bounce off of 50K really hard? Yeah, I think we're just like these wicks and stuff are from liquidations. Look how insane this PA was. It dipped down, liquidated a bunch of longers, pushed up, liquidated anyone who was shorting, and then nuked back the entire thing all within 25 minutes or 30 minutes. Like, that's just crazy. You don't want to get caught up in that. Am I gonna review Ethereum Classic? I haven't watched or looked at Ethereum Classic in a long time. XO and SC, stream on them. Make me a mod so I can boot people for no reason. I should. Great content. Thank you, bro. They're the same person. Yeah, XO and SC. 100 likes with it. Oh yeah, if you guys could hit the like button, that'd be awesome. Helps with the YouTube algo, so I would really appreciate that. Thanks TSS Bomber. Thanks Chris. Dave Mills, we did talk about Link, so we got to that one. XMR, we can take a look at that. XMR, SNX, those are some people are asking about. Yeah, I'm using, I don't know if you're still here, Jack Pickup, but this is TradingView. This is where I do all my charting. How long did it take me to get this level of knowledge? I've been trading, and when I say trading, I mean like at least spending 3 to 4 hours pretty much every day. Probably more than that actually, like 5-6 hours almost every day charting and testing stuff, testing strategies, looking at things like that. For 3.5 years. What time frames do I watch for my TA? I would say mostly 1 hour, 4 hour, and daily are kind of my main ones, but I'll look at the 30-minute and 15-minute sometimes. Insane to follow you, man. Learning a lot from you and all the mistakes I've been making. Hey, I love to hear that, bro. I'm glad I've been able to help. Okay. I'm pretty much back up to where we are. Sorry for the delay in, I was just kind of reading stuff. Thanks BM. Thank you for your videos. No problem, Johnny. Thanks for doing this. No problem, Neon. How do I identify chop before getting chopped up? That is a phenomenal question, actually. Basically, when I see a range is formed, like here, our Monday's range was huge. It was this low to this high, and this lines up well with like previous ranges that we were trading in. I kind of expect price to be within that range since we just had so much volatility. Like we just dropped 9% and then we pumped 10%. And so it's like after all that volatility, I kind of expect price to chop around a little bit. Especially since we have like a really well-defined range here. So I don't think it's crazy for us to get something like this for a day or two. So I'm just trying to play it safe and take positions at the extremes. Does it feel to you like we keep having these choppy dips because people over leverage, get licked, and then immediately try to buy the dip? I think it could be. I mean, I think that's what some of the impulsive moves are from. And yeah, I think people are definitely over leveraged within too small time frame of ranges. Above the top for 2 hours right after you. On the sushi chart, so it did close above. But so that one candle closed above it. This candle closed above too, but I wanted to see either a retest of this hourly demand and then hold back above, and then it kind of just nuked straight through. And honestly, because this had gone straight up 45%, I wasn't like, usually I would look for a flip of that level even if it's a couple hours later, but I wasn't going to buy a 3-4% pullback after a 40% move. I was looking at this level. I talked about that in a video I posted, and we wicked into that nicely, but I didn't leave any limits. So The sushi one was a little bit of an anomaly just because it had just gone up 45%. So this would have been different if, let's say, it dipped into this demand and it's coming up like this. It's doing some dips along the way, nice spike, range for a little, hit that resistance, take profit, right? Now it's back below. If it gets back above, then I would have looked to long it. But because it was like this is not the structure where I want to buy after a 40-something% increase in price. But if it was more of a steady uptrend, when it went up 40-something%, I would have felt more comfortable buying a lower time frame flip of that resistance. YouTube algo for algo, that's right. Thanks, Alexander. Johnny, can you make a video about trading patterns? I don't, well, kinda. Like, there aren't really many, I mean, I don't know if you want to call it a pattern. When I think of pattern, I think of like ascending triangles, descending triangles, symmetrical triangles, stuff like that. I think of those as like trading patterns, whereas I don't really trade like that. I look for specific setups, but my trading strategy is based mostly off ranges, supply and demand, and liquidity, and SR, of course. But I mean, I do want to make more educational stuff and tutorials and things like that, and I actually have a notepad right here. I'll give you guys a sneak peek. This is my notepad of what I want to talk about in tutorials. I just haven't gotten around to making many of them yet, so that is something I'd like to do at some point. I want to make the ultimate free trading course. That's the goal. So no, I don't trade stocks, but you can use TradingView for stocks. I mean, I trade stocks a little bit, but crypto is definitely my main focus. Okay, so I said, I'm trying to catch up with all this, guys. I apologize. All right, yeah, I've seen SNX, Fibonacci, fam. I do use, occasionally I'll look at some Fib retracements, but okay, I said we'd look at SNX. Sorry, I'm pretty sure I just got caught up for like 10 minutes looking at the chat. So let me chart up SNX really quick, and then we'll go from there. So first of all, I like to zoom out, see if there are any high time frame levels we're working with. This is the closest one. We have daily demand right here. So this was the up move, or sorry, the down move right before that pump up. And we wicked into that, so that looks fine. There isn't a ton of, I mean, SNX isn't very old, right? There isn't like a ton of history. Yeah, okay. So I'm fine using the FTX chart. So there we got our daily levels. This range kind of jumps out at me. I like how the mid-range was holding there, and then it acted as resistance right away, dumped, and it's kind of chopped around it for a little bit, but I think that range makes a little sense. Let me see if Monday's range is better, and we would use that. Well, that's just right here. Okay, I'm not going to put that on. Okay, so we're sitting on daily demand, so that's a good sign for the bulls. And now, yeah, we took out this low from the range, swept into it, and it is kind of just consolidating from here. I probably wouldn't really look for a long unless we flip above that range high. Let me see if there's any significant open. The weekly opens right around the mid-range, but nothing too significant there. I would probably need to see a flip of the range high to get long on this, on SNX. Steve says cause. What's up, Steve? What time is the weekly open close and daily? Weeklies are on Sundays, and it's like 0 UTC. Cause FX was your main focus. For a little while, I was trading Forex more, but that's when things in crypto were completely dead. Well, not dead, but can't remember when I'm pretty sure it was around here. I don't remember. I did trade Forex for a while. I was trading Forex, Bitcoin, and Ethereum for a while. But then whenever there's altcoin liquidity, that definitely is where the money is. Am I friends with Cred? Yeah, I would say so. We're pals. ADA, I haven't looked at that. Supply and demand. That would probably take a specific video for us to do. How do you gauge full extensions? I don't really use extensions. Probably should though. Like if I'm looking to take profit when something is like trending with no price history, I would take profit after like sweeps, hourly sweeps of the high or something like that, or just trailing my stop up. I also think psychological levels work too. Like for Bitcoin, 50K, for Ethereum, 2K, 2.5, whatever, things like that. 88 perp. IOTA, I don't really know anything about IOTA. Do they even have that on FTX? I don't think so. I haven't traded that in who knows how long. So ADA looks fine. It's been ripping up so much, and so I'm not like it doesn't concern me that it's just consolidating for a bit. It kind of makes sense after it's gone vertical for so long. So man, for like it's tough to find a ton of setups for this, but let's see. We're sitting right above the weekly open, so that is a bullish sign. I think this demand level is interesting. So a dip into that could be a possible long opportunity, but other than that, it kind of looks like we're ranging. I think this is the key high to watch. It's basically where we swept this high. So we originally made this high, swept above it, retested it there, and it's held the entire time. So I think like ADA would probably be back on my radar if it gets above this, because if we can flip that level, then I will be looking for a ton of expansion. Hey Kaz, how do you determine when you are incorrect? For example, if one believes Bitcoin is bearish at the moment, when should you flip your belief? So it just depends on why you think Bitcoin's bearish. So if I believe Bitcoin is bearish here because it swept this high and broke back down below the weekly open and Monday's high, I think my argument gets weaker if we break above that, and I would probably start scaling out of a short if we were holding above Monday's high. And I think getting back above the level that it swept to kind of invalidate the sweep would be where you'd be completely wrong. So it kind of just depends on why you're bullish or why you're bearish and what the invalidation for that specific argument is. So like for this one, if you were bearish because of the sweep and the break back below here, if it got back above the level that it swept, then your bearish argument would be invalidated. Cred still swears up and down XRP will moon someday. Yeah, he really does like XRP. I've never been super into fundamentals, so I don't really know much about XRP. Like I know about the lawsuit and all that crazy stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about XRP. Yeah, I can look at FTT. I like that one. Aave, we can look at that. Just want to know if you think the 200 plus gain will hold and if it's still bullish. On which one is that? Oh, XRP. I mean, I can look at the XRP chart. I think high time frame, it looks okay. This was a range I had here earlier. but we broke out of that. Honestly, the fact that it retraced that entire dump makes me think it's not just gonna die or anything like that, but I'm just not interested in trading this PA. Like, that's just kind of, like, if you time it right, there's some awesome opportunities because these are some enormous price swings, but something that goes up, then retraces the entire dump or pump, and then retraces the entire dump, it's just hard for me to get much of a read on that. But I think if this SEC news was going to completely kill XRP, this never would have happened. So that's kind of my brief thoughts on it. We did take a look at Atom. I think that was the first thing I did. So if you just go to the beginning of the video, well, I can look at it briefly or just tell you. Basically, since we already talked about this one, it's super quick. Sweep into this level or flip above that high. It's showing a lot of strength in comparison to other coins because it's up 10% today. But yeah, I think around 20 to 21 would be where I'd be interested in buying. FTT, same kind of thing as ADA. It's been on a tear, just going straight up this year. And now it's just consolidating. I would say that our range would be this high to this low. We swept that low. We're trading around the mid-range now. So this, you kind of just have to be patient. But I'm super bullish on FTT high time frame. What time frame is the lowest you consider for supply demand? Typically, I'd like at least an hourly level. I just wouldn't expect too much from a lower time frame one. But like, if this is the level I'm looking for on the hourly, I'm not saying I am, but this is just to give an example. Sometimes you can like try and refine it more or less, zooming in, but typically at least hourly structure, I would say. IOTA. All right, I will look at IOTA. Where should I chart this thing? I don't even know. Probably this one. Weekly. Wow, I didn't know IOTA was back from the dead. All right, let's see what kind of high time frame levels we got. So monthly SR. I guess that could be a weekly level too. This is the origin of the dump, and that's another level. All right, so we got some high time frame SR on there. Tagged that one. I don't know like where you're in from or what time frame you're looking for in regards to this analysis. I would say this is our range. We almost have equal highs there. We dumped into high time frame support, pushed up. We're back above the mid-range. Overall, this looks solid to me. If this level fails, also guys, can we just take a moment? Like, look at this. This is a good learning experience right now. These three levels, I just pulled up from a monthly and a weekly chart without looking at what happened near term. And this is literally right where, are these both daily? No, 12 hour, give or take, whatever. Both of these levels are where high time frame or higher time frame demand forms. You can't tell me that's a coincidence. So that's just cool. That's confluence. That's like, you have your high time frame levels and other levels will form around those levels, which is, I always thought was really interesting. Yeah, overall it looks bullish. Like, this took out the low of the range into high time frame support. I think if it can get above the range high, it's good for some expansion. And if it dips again, I would look around this 84 cents to 80 cents as an area to either buy or whatever, look for a bounce. But as far as technicals go about the future of IOTA, I have zero clue. Aave, a couple people asked about that. AAVE. however you pronounce it. I think I'm just going to clear all these levels. These are old. Okay, same thing as FTT and ADA. Was going straight up, so now it's cooling off for a bit. Swept this high, retested it there, took out the low. Maybe it pokes down again because that'd be kind of far, but I'd keep an eye on that region. And if you want more trend continuation, the best way to identify when that is coming is if you're in a trend, right? You consolidate for a bit, you range. As soon as it gets above that range high and actually holds above it, that's when I would be more bullish on it. And you're probably asking, like, well, it looked like it kind of got above and held right there. It did, but it didn't really range for very long. So I wouldn't, like, I'd be more confident in trend continuation if it ranged for weeks versus stalling for like 4 days. So yeah, and we know this level is even more significant because it rejected right there. So I might actually set some alarms for 550, and whenever this makes its way back above, we'll be longing it. All right. I think we're about to call it. I'll look at one or two other coins. I don't know what those red lines are, but they worked out well. Fill. I think this is probably our key level, and we're consolidating above it right now. This looks a little choppy to me, but as long as it can hold above that, I think it should be okay. But honestly, like, I want to help more, but this doesn't give me too much of a clean read on the price action. I guess it could be something like that. I'm not sure. That's a little messy. Wouldn't you long the range low also? Yeah, you could. That would be a definitely a valid strategy. All right, last one, and then I think we're gonna call it. Been streaming for about an hour. XMR. Okay, I can look at that too. Let's see. This is literally at resistance right now, so I think this is where you take profit if you're in it. And I guess I could expand this supply with the wick. Might give us a clearer read. Let's see. Might chop around for a little bit. I think this level you could look to long if it does something like this, or break out above that high is what I'd be looking for on ICX. Then last one, XMR. Well, let's see, XMR, USDT. See if we can get some more price history. Okay, we're in price discovery. Let's see, dipped right into demand here. A lot of these coins, even the ones we talked about earlier, they dipped into demand, they had a nice bounce, and now they're kind of bleeding back down into it. I wouldn't really want to long it on that second tap, even though it might push up from there. I think a nice level is right here. Origin of the dump, rejected there, swept the high there. If XMR can flip above that, I'd be more confident. All right, guys. Thank you all for being here. We were above 200 viewers at one point, which is really, really cool. If you guys could like the video, that would mean a lot to me. And yeah, I mean, I'll see you in the next video. Hit the subscribe button if you guys want more content like this. I'll keep posting those like 10-minute update videos, and then every now and then we will keep doing streams like this because it's fun to interact with you guys, read the chat and all that, and also yeah, I guess just doing live TA, talking charts, whatever. It's a good time. Let me know if you guys want to see more live streams or more of those like 10-minute videos straight to the point. But whatever works. Appreciate every single one of you for being here and listening to me ramble for like an hour. So I will talk to you guys soon. Really appreciate all the support on these videos. Thanks, guys.